Yes, and we are back with another episode of Dance Gems. Today, we are going to talk about something that is very close to my heart, art and sports, but of course also to my buddy, Ton Greten. Let me see if he's there. Um, hey, Ton, are you there?
Hey, Sean. Nice to see you again. We see
Yes.
each other each week.
Yeah, we see each other each week for a new podcast of Dance Gems, at least. But sometimes we work a little bit more. But hey, today I was thinking of let's talk about art and sport. I just maybe you have the same question to me. You know, are we with dance busy with art or are we dance busy with sports? Or what is it? Uh,
I think it's both. It's a body activity, I would say.
it's a body activity. Okay. Uh, yeah. Well, it is. So, if and is any body activity then sports or art? I could, keep.
In my opinion, yes. Because if you move through space and time and
Mhm.
you do it more intensive, um, yeah, then your mind and body will get triggered there,
Mm.
and it will be get more active.
And that is sport for you.
Yes, it's same like darting. Darts is also sport,
Yeah, that is
in my
also sport.
opinion.
Or
Yeah,
chess. Chess, they
or
say
chess.
sport is a thinking sport or a mental
Yes,
sport,
yes.
right? We used to have a program. I I don't know if that still exists in the Netherlands, Studio something. And yeah, if there was a chess tournament, they will. I always thought that it was a little bit weird to have in a sports program where normally every in the Netherlands 80% is showing soccer. Um, but
No, 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 Sean. 95%.
95%, like there is no other sport. But I always thought it
Yes.
was kind of strange to show something like chess. But maybe it's true. Maybe if you are mentally very active with a purpose, like winning a game, or maybe not even winning, maybe it doesn't have to be competition. You're busy with sports.
Yes. Yes, it's a physical activity, and when you be busy, even when you go to the dance school, it's of course um, social dancing, but
Hmm.
still it's sport, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Do you think that's the opinion of most people?
No, no, not at all. The most they say they do sport, but they say it's art in the dancing world, in the competition world. So we doing art. Well,
Hmm.
why you do competition dance then?
Mhm. Mm.
Because
I
it's
was,
art.
yeah, I
Mm.
was talking to a pretty known dance teacher in our world, Lena James, and she actually thought that one association was a little bit more to the art side of dance. Not saying that they don't do. Don't do sport, but mentally, and the other one was a little bit more to the sport side of it. It was just a casual talk, was nothing like we tried to define it, but we tried to come up with maybe. So why would someone call it a little bit more art? Not that they're not saying that they're not busy with sports or the other way around. Yeah, we came to some interesting thoughts. I mean, it's nothing like that has to be the definition of it, but I think it can be both.
Um, yes, of course. But then you can also say it's entertainment and it's education dance and it is yeah, it could be also entertainment.
Yeah, well, now I remember we also talked about this in Dutch. By the way, people, we do this podcast, and we do that in two languages, not at the same time, but in two different episodes. And they are sometimes the same. And
Yes.
sometimes Ton and I talk about the same topic, but in a slightly different way. So it's kind of interesting to listen to them both. That's what I wanted to say. But yeah, I think that entertainment, performance, art and sports, and even maybe you can call it edutainment. Where it also is maybe educational. I think it could be a good blend of all of them, and even in a social setting. So maybe people try to fit something in a different box. Maybe there is no box that where dance fits in. Maybe it has its own
No.
box.
Yeah, dance is dance. You can put it in boxes,
Yeah.
but the first at all, the main subject is dance. And
Hmm.
if somebody wants to put it in art, he put it in art. And when
Hmm.
somebody wants to put it in sport, he put it in sport. For me, I can only tell it for me. If there are no rules and you could do whatever you want to do, so nothing is defined, then I would put it in art.
Yeah, I
And
would. I would then add to it if the viewer understands that.
oh no, I'm not agree. Why? Because when you make a painting, sometimes I look to a painting and I also not understand it, but
No, but you understand that it is art. You might not like it. You might even say, "Oh, why do they call this art?" But typically, someone is busy with art. You might not agree that it is
oh,
artistic. That's what people sometimes
oh,
confuse those two words,
okay,
right?
then this paper would be also art.
Well, if you want to call it art, yes, I would not. I would not disagree with that. Yeah. My brother was an artist, and we had that discussion. I was way more pragmatic when I was a young guy, and he was much older than me. And he had one day he made an artwork where he pinned stakes in the ground in at the shore of the North Sea, and he
Mhm, mhm.
attached garbage bags on them, and the wind would blow up these garbage bags, and they were in a row. And he said, well, he did not want to call it art, but people say, is that art? He said, well, I think it's art. He said, but if you think it's garbage bag, then they are garbage bag. It's what you want to see in it. See, I think that's an interesting statement. Yeah, you want to see yellow paper with just some scribble, then it's scribbles. Another people say, oh,
Yes.
does that make sense?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think, but maybe this is a judgment or meaning. No, it's a judgment. I think that sport is more, say, a little bit more artificial, and art is more free and more deeper. And sport, yeah, when you do competition dancing and you win a competition, yeah, that's it. But why a dancer won this competition? You don't know because you never get context to it.
No. Well, I mean, it's things like dance or even ice skating or even gymnastics is way harder to measure than who is the fastest over a 100-meter sprint. And
Yes,
so that's
correct,
easy.
Sean.
Or who throws a spear as the furthest away. That's all easy. Who scores the most goals?
Yes,
That's
yes,
that's
yes.
easier.
But in gymnastic and in ice skating, they did it also like this, Sean. They
Yeah,
put elements in it. So when you make a double flip, then it gets a high score. And but when you do a triple one,
you get a higher
then
score.
you get a higher score because the element is
Yeah,
more, I would
yeah.
say, difficult, but actually it's more challenging to doing three instead of two.
Yes, but then automatically the discussion of art came back into ice skating as well. Is it now more about a series of tricks? Or, that's why they make a difference between ice dancing and a figure making the whatever they call that in ice dancing in English. So,
Yes, yes,
so you have that.
I understand that, but
Yep.
for me myself, I try to approach it as art. when I make a show or a choreography, you can look my dances on YouTube, and but many of them they have a set of rules where we must stay in.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Mm-hmm.
it and this is makes a difference also when you have a set of rules of an organization, it limits what you can do. So I,
From an artistic point of view.
from an artistic point of view, but I try to stretch the border.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way, also from a sportive point of view, because in the form that you very often choreograph, you cannot do unlimited lifts.
Uh, no, because in the set of rule, in some organization is zero lifts, and
Yeah,
other ones you can do three,
yeah,
and the other one you can do so many if you want to do.
yeah, yeah,
It makes it, yeah, it is, yeah. But still, in the lifts, when I put a lift there in, still it could be artistic if you lift. It's a power movement because you lift somebody from the floor. And if you have a static lift, only one side,
yeah.
and you not make a new form from it or new design from it, then it's one, but it's more higher for me the element if it would be go from one lift to another lift when the lifts are turning, when
Mm-hmm.
the lift is above the shoulders or above the head or very down low or above the head with four support points or with two or with one. So this makes it also more complicated and you need more balance, more power. So actually it's sport also at that moment because the element and the connections, how you make the connections, mostly they like to have pointing feet, but sometimes I try to feed to flex because I want to make it more interesting. And so I break actually what I used to see. And this is what I try mainly in my choreographies to let them experience what they never saw.
Yeah,
And sometimes the audience get, or the perceivers, I call them perceivers, because they use their senses for watching and listening, and they sometimes are in shock. But that's my purpose, to get them in shock because I want that they think about it. And I had this with one couple from Denmark. When I made it, he jumps on her. She was lying on the floor, horizontal, on her back, and he jumps on her with the shoes. And that was quite strange for the audience and for the perceivers and for the judges also. That wasn't used, and for him also in the beginning. But after a year, he was used to it. After 1 year, and he said, "Well, it was actually quite normal."
yeah, yeah. Okay. So for me, that sounds a little bit more the way you approach it as the heart of an artist, right?
Yes,
So a little bit, okay, in this case, you have some rules, but within those rules, you try to push the limits, right?
yes, yes.
You are, so I think sports people are, I mean, I'm just trying and trying to get a little bit definition around sports typically has to do with what is the result that you get, right? You know, I scored 10 goals or, and in this case, of course, the couple who's dancing it would like to win the competition, but
Mhm.
you as the choreographer, I know you quite well. It's good that they win, but it's not your main objective.
No, my main is objective is
Yeah,
to get in their minds
yeah,
and that they will think about it
yes,
and that I can remember it and that I can inspire them.
yeah.
That is my highest goal.
Oh,
Um,
sometimes a
to
change perspective.
yes,
I see that too in your choreographies. Yeah, so I think it has within that context, a more artist or an artistic approach. But that doesn't mean that the movements in itself, you don't have to be very skilled and fit to do that, you know?
Yeah. No, no, no. I have some similarities from sport and art. When I do sport, say I would do sport, and there is something more, I will write it down that I not forget it. Okay, I write it down. In the sport, when I do my exercise, I do a squat, I do a planking. Still, I approach it as art. How I do that? First, when I do my exercise, I'm aware of my body awareness, the proprioception, and I think about my 10 points. And then when I go to my plank, I try not just go in a plank and do a plank. No, I try to connect to a plank. Which hand will touch first the floor, left or right? And then the fingers. And then I try to think about my posture, about the proprioception. And then I try to isolate sometimes my head, or I try to move my fingers in the planking. And then I do it sometimes very fast with the fingers, then very slow. I try to get aware of my body. So, would that be art? No, it's a different approach just to do an exercise empty. I try to imagine what I could do with it, and later when I'm would be dancing, what I could make from the planking in a routine. It's maybe
Mhm.
strange thinking.
No, I mean, I don't think it's art what you do, but that's okay. That's okay.
So when I disturb the
Mm.
plank is defined,
Mhm.
but when I go in the opposite on one hand and the other foot in the opposite, and then I will make circles in the air and I will stop somewhere, still I'm planking. But the form looks completely different than you would use to see
Yeah.
a planking.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. And then the difference between sport, that's just my opinion, is the duration of something. In sport, when you do competition, mainly that's a judgment, everything looks fast. How faster, how better, how more symmetric, how more recognizable. Yes. And in the art, you can break that from symmetry, you go to asymmetry. Instead, you do everything fast, you do it in slow motion. Instead of the planking what I said, I've misformed the planking, but still it's a planking. And to search how you can break all these defined rules and make only the rules for yourself, this I put it as art. It will be unique then. And if it will be not unique, then it gets more the same like in sport, symmetric, fast, and geometric. What also at the end is when everybody do the hands like this, and then they might make it open together with a group. It's still symmetric, but then it looks for me like art.
Mhm.
I don't know if you know these videos where they
Mm.
all put in the geometry the
Yeah.
arms the same.
Yeah. Of
Yes,
course.
yes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think this is probably a discussion that you never finish if you approach it that way. I think sports in itself. I mean, people who are drawn more to sports, they also have two sides in them, right? First of all, it has a lot more to do with how efficient and how effective you can be, right? So if you do two boxers in a ring, the one who knocks out the other as fast as he can, that is very effective, right? The one who can manage his energy most efficient is in what we say in good condition. He has good stamina, right? He's very efficient with his energy. But still, we are drawn. Some people who are more what they then call technical better, right? It is in
Mm,
the end, it doesn't matter if you box to someone who's not technical correct, but you put you down in 2 seconds, he's still a winner. Then they say it's an ugly boxer, but he still wins, right? Um,
mm,
so Cassius Clay later on called Muhammad Ali was a very technical thing, a very artistic approach of his sport. Uh,
yeah.
and so you can also have dancers who have a little bit more sportive approach to their dance. They are a little bit more concerned with, can I do 5 spins instead of 4? And
Mhm,
you are more busy with changing forms and rules and things, which feels more like an artistic approach than a
mhm.
sportive approach. Another person say, no, as long as I win the competition, you can call it art. I just win the competition. They have a more sportive approach.
Yes, and both are okay, in
Oh
my
yeah, oh
opinion.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely, definitely. If it comes to something like planking, a sportsman would approach it. Okay, how can I get the most benefit out of it? Just change the body and get more stamina through it. You can already hear from you. That's why I let you talk a little bit. You were basically with the form, right? If it's maybe a little bit less beneficial for the stamina development, you think form is more important than that. By the way, we are going to do a podcast on that on that topic. Is it
Yeah.
is it function or is it form first, right? A sports person has very often function first. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
absolutely,
So that's
Sean.
that. So let's not do that discussion, but in dance, but from a technical point of view. But yeah, that's what I was talking about: efficiency and effectiveness. Which is great. I mean, you see soccer players, which I like to watch at times, specifically if they technical, very skilled, right? Like Messi,
Yes.
it's almost art how they can curve the ball and how they can do all these things. It's just amazing what they can do.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I have a quite funny story, small
Mm-hmm.
anecdote. I made many, many, many choreographies for formation team in the
Yeah.
Latin world, Latin ballroom world,
Mm-hmm.
and in the ballroom standard
Mm-hmm.
world. And the opponents, where
Mm-hmm.
we were in the competition, they said, "Yeah, but you do only tricks, and you do only something what it's not recognizable, and actually, it's just a gimmick." And then the winner who wants the competition is telling that.
Yeah.
So actually, I think I, as an artist, and my dancers feel attacked. And once I was going on social media against it, and I said, actually, we can inspire the people. You can only inspire the people by winning, but you inspire them also, but they forget you after a month. After a year, they think, oh, this choreography who didn't win, I can still remember.
Yeah.
And this is a different approach. But still, I like that the one who won, that he goes that way. But what I saw now, many years after it, the same teams, I inspired them because they're doing now trying to do the same.
Well, yeah, maybe, but their motivation to have made that change could be still not artistic. Could be still
Yeah.
driven by that's now how you win a competition.
Ah, but we did it only once, win this world championship in this ballroom Latin world.
No, I know,
And
but you see more. You see more of that influence. You are one of
yeah,
the bigger influence also in the not only the formation, but you can definitely see it also in the couple show dances. Your influence has been huge.
yes,
It is, it's when they had a standard. Let's say ballroom in Latin. That is for us normal talk. So sorry that I just mentioned it, but I'll explain it a little bit. If we talk about standard or ballroom dance, it is typically a waltz or a tango. In the old showcases, they just do a little piece of show waltz and a little bit of tango, and then with some maybe some interesting music or not, and they still looked at the same thing as a normal competition. You brought in way different elements, different clothing, a theme, a story, more emotional expression. You brought in elements that were hardly seen. But there were other people who did it too, of course, but you pushed it way further. And now you see other choreographers doing the same.
Yeah,
Um,
correct, Sean.
yeah,
I see it also in Dancing with the Stars,
sure.
and So You Think You Can Dance.
Yeah,
I see that they imitate and try to get the idea and work with it. They make their own thing from it, but
yeah,
still you can see also from the elements that there was
yeah.
inspired from it,
They
and I
yeah.
like that.
That's great. And but there are other influences too. Of course, other dance forms starts to influence our dance style too. To stop that would actually would go against the grain of artistry, right? That
Absolutely, Sean.
so
That's
it's a fine line to. That's why I think ballroom dancing specifically, but you can now also put it to hip hop, and even if you go to salsa competitions, a lot of these things never had a competition. You go to Cuba originally and you ask them, can you do a competition? They probably look at you, huh? What are you talking about? You cannot do a competition in something that's a street form, right? A street artist. But people have a little bit the feeling that they want to know who is the best.
Mhm.
They just want.
Yes.
Hip
Well,
hop never started as a competition form.
no.
Even
Wh-
ballroom
wh-
dancing did not start as a competition form. It started as a social activity.
Ballet.
Same thing.
Uh, yes.
Ballet is still ballet has also competitions now, but for the longest time there was no competition.
Even that in art, it changed a lot. If you look to the ballet 100 year ago,
Oh yeah,
they are not so light and so fast, and the legs so high.
yeah, yeah,
Like these days, in these days, they do 180 degrees, the leg high. They put the leg to the side, they put it high,
yeah,
and when you look 100 year back, they came maybe 90 degrees, not more,
yeah.
and now they make 180. Uh, Maybe they could do 2 turns, 3 turns. Now there are in the ballet sometimes you see 7, 10 turns in a theater, so they get also more athletic,
Oh yeah,
and
yeah,
yes, they
for
get
sure.
stronger, more flexible. They are able to do more. So actually, it's also sportive, I would
Oh,
say.
very much. I mean, I saw from I have to remember his name. One of the Russian dancers, big guy with long hair,
Pull,
white hair. What's
pull,
his name?
pull,
With
pull up.
white hair. What was his name? But they measured how much weight he lost after one performance, which
Mhm.
went literally in the kilos. Which a top ballet dancer has to be incredibly fit to do what they do.
Yes.
Incredibly
I
fit.
think actually they are the masters of athleticism, I
I
would
think so
say.
too.
Yeah.
Dances are, and you know what the answer is, how I always explain it to my students. In the form of dance, we try to let it appear that it is very often effortless.
The same
In
like
in
breakdance
Same
also.
like
Uh,
breakdancing, just dance in its
yes.
general form, right? In
Yes.
in 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 soccer, it doesn't matter. It's nice if you can do it effortless, that's great. But as long as you make the most scores, sometimes actually people admire when someone at his last, he make it over the finish
Yes.
line and he's all like this. We think that's great athleticism, but
Yes.
dancers, they want to look like this after 10 pirouettes.
Yes.
No one
Yes.
wants to see like
No. 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 No.
no one wants to
Yes.
see that.
But there are similarities
Oh yeah,
in the sport and art
yeah,
and entertainment. Um, Tactic. is also one of them. You use it even in the art, how to start, where to begin in space and time with which body part. And in the competition dance, you look what space where I want to stand, in which space I want to be in front of my opponent, or I give him more space, or I will put my back to him,
Mm-hmm.
or yes, that's they have also tactic in hip hop, in breakdance, in ballroom Latin also, even in the art they have also tactic.
You have to explain what you mean with tactic in this case.
In tactic, I mean that you think before which move you want to make, or to impress the opponent, or to impress the perceivers, the audience in that case. How, if you have a tactic, I was once in a theater and was watching to Barashnikov, and he did this. He turned, and probably it was his tactic. He didn't prepare anything, and sit like this on the floor for 15 minutes. Didn't do anything. Zero. So he have made a plan before,
Mm-hmm.
tactically, where to sit down.
Yeah.
And probably when you would look next time, he would do it differently.
Yeah.
And then maybe he would put very slowly the hand up. Maybe he would just use some fingers, and then he wait another 2 minutes. So there is also tactic in it. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just think that the goal of the tactic is different than
Yes,
for a
yes, yes,
sporting.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I remember Johan Cruyff, which is a Dutch soccer player, but world famous, of course. When they do a penalty. Let me talk a little bit to to audience who does not know what soccer is. But a penalty is normally when a penalty shot is normally someone did something wrong, a fall, and then they have to the goalkeeper and one player are in front of each other, and then the soccer player can then shoot. But Johan Cruyff came up with very clever tactics. One was that he was running towards the ball, jump over it, and someone else would then shoot the ball. And there was no rule against that. And they did not know what to do with it. No one knew what to do with it because he pretended that he would shoot the ball, but there was another guy next to him who would actually do it. So he was just running at the ball, jumped over it, and then the other one was shooting the ball.
Yes.
And of course it went in, but it was hugely controversial. So yes, it was entertaining, but at the
Yes.
same time, the goal of the tactic was different, right?
Yeah.
Probably in his artistic mind, Johan Cruyff is a very artistic soccer player. He wanted to do a little bit both, but in the end of the day, he just wanted to get the ball into the goal.
Nice story. Yes, it's entertainment, and the same also art.
And
And
it was for me
yes,
also art. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because he breaks the rules, and this is what I
Well,
try
he played. He didn't break a rule because there was no rule
rule
against
for
it,
it. Yes,
but
yes, yes.
everyone thought that's not allowed. But
Hmm.
he knew the rules to the letter. He knew
Hmm.
every rule, and like you do, that's what you do. You write about. You say, "Hey, man, I play within the rules," and then,
Hmm.
but
I
but
I do this also in the ballroom world, and in the other worlds, in the hip hop. I look
yeah,
to the rules,
yeah,
and then I look how much space I have. But sometimes these organizations, they put something on paper and didn't think about it. They say, um, put a normal hold. First, there is no definition for hold. And second, what is a
mm,
normal hold? Yes, it's
yeah,
in the ballroom world.
yeah.
Then I
Yeah.
phoned to the sports director, if
Hmm.
he could me give some context to that one, and he gets angry of me. It was an Irishman,
Hmm.
and he gets very angry. John, everybody knows what a normal hold is. I said it's like a normal phone or a normal car,
Yeah, you can't.
and
Yeah.
yes,
I
it's
yeah.
what. Mm,
So yeah, so
Yes.
people do. Yeah, I brought this even to let's say beginner dancers,
Mhm.
that things influence them very quickly, right? So I asked them, do you know why the guy holds up his left arm and then has the right arm on the back, right? That's a normal hold, and everyone say, yeah, that's more, and I'm a little bit lined up to the ladies' right side, right? And they said, yeah, that's more efficient and stuff like that. They came up with all kind of things. I said, no, it's all not true. That's not where it's coming from at all. I said, no. I said, no. I bet no one knows this. And I said, it is because we used to wear a sword on the left side. We didn't want to get the lady, be hindered by the sword. That's why I'm more to the lady's right side. And that's why I have my arm up here. So, because this is an easy way to grab my sword. It's a true story. But
Mhm.
of course, in the end, it became a little bit more, and people were thinking about the efficiency and stuff like that. That was so not where it's coming from, Tom. Isn't that an
Yes.
interesting thing? So I asked the questions, why can we not like this? And they get all kind of reasons why that's impossible. I said, it's the same thing.
Yes.
I could do the opposite, and but then you dance as a lady. I said,
Yes.
whoa, whoa, whoa. I said, can we stop here?
Yes, and then you come to the sport then. So they put more
Yes,
rules
they
on
put
it.
more rules in it. And we
Yes,
as artists, we would do
try to
this.
break that
and
rules.
and I was dancing once with a guy, and we played this. We made a show out of it, and it was actually a true story because we were it was like a challenge that he and I had to dance together, and it was a ballroom quick step. That was the challenge, and then we were arguing a little bit, like who's dancing as a girl and who's dancing as a man. And I said,
Yeah.
who cares? I said,
Yes.
and we switched during the show so fast. Some people didn't even notice it. We switched
Yes.
so fast. We had no thing. But there were, of course, people who saying, "Oh, he's dancing as a girl there. Who is dancing as a?" I said, "Wow." I said, because I have my right hand up, I'm dancing as a girl. That's interesting. It is
Yes.
interesting, right? Why we have these things. So artists in itself typically sometimes they don't care at all what other people think. They don't care at all, but at least they are always a little bit busy with doing it different than it was before.
I'm totally agree because there are many crossovers in sport and art,
Yes.
but one of them is
Yeah.
the opposite. I would say for myself
Mm-hmm.
that you in sport try to respect the rules,
Yes.
and in art you try
To
to
almost.
ignore that rules.
Yeah. Or well, but here is a challenge for you. If you are really busy, too busy with breaking the rules, you actually also pay a lot of attention to the rules.
Yeah, of course. I take
Yeah.
attention to the rule. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So you
Yeah.
cannot you cannot say that an artist who is busy, but I think you and I are not even busy with the rules.
No,
We
no, no,
create
no.
something and then we figure out whether it fits or not. But what I learned from you specifically is I used the word, but you went further in it. And this is shocking for a lot of dancers who work with you. When we did a movement, and I did the movement again, and then you said, "Yeah, but that's the same what you just did a minute ago." And I was thinking that, don't you want to see that? No, no, no. I said, you can do it slightly different. So even within performance after performance of the same dance and the same choreography, Tom's mind, and my mind now went deep in that too, is recreated every time you do it. I always use that word, by the way, but you went Credit is where credit is due, as we say in English. You go really far in that. And I think that's something that you cannot ask a painter to exactly paint the same painting. We
Yes,
had an
Sean,
interview.
you
We had an
you
interview.
think what I wanted to say.
Yeah.
Yes, you said it
Yes.
now.
Yeah, we had an interview with Alessandro. We talked about this. Painters not interested making the same painter. And although we dance the same dance, even on the lowest, and that sounds a little bit like a category, but a beginner dances, I explained that already. Everything changes, from 1 minute to the other. So why would you actually be busy in trying to create the same thing? Why don't you recreate? Hmm?
Yeah,
And
that's what I want.
I think that's from a feeling point of view, I would say um, it's a little bit more artistic. But I
Mm,
also noticed that it keeps movement a little bit more authentic.
yes. Yes, authentic. I know also what this is why we made some difference in muscle memory because the
Yes,
muscle memory, I
exactly.
would say it's more for the sport.
Yeah, yeah.
And I go one step further. Muscle memory, you build it up and you manipulate that.
No,
So
I have to correct you
manipulation.
there. I don't think that you only do that.
No, 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 not me, but we
Yeah,
take the name as first because we thought about there must something before,
and after.
some and after. So what would be before is the muscle exploration because you explore what the muscles can do from existing movements, and when you would be and you find something what you like, you repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, repeat it, and get a muscle memory. But then one step further is the muscle memory manipulation. You manipulate that what you have practiced. And a show or a dance, even on a competition floor, would never look the same. So you not repeat yourself, but try to reinvent you every time at new at that floor, every time, every moment. This is my strong believing because this makes the real person and the real person who makes that choice from his core, what he really wants, and from his thoughts. And then there comes something unique out of it. And this is also, in my opinion, art.
Yeah, it's art, but it's also, I think, movement development. You
Yeah.
develop movement.
Yes.
But you know that it's probably one of the topics that we connected on almost immediately. I am allergic to the word muscle memory. I'm not saying there is no function of it. I do think there's a function of it, but I am allergic to it, to the word muscle memory. If people say it, and I'm very vocal about it too. Not to dismiss what people say because they probably mean it correctly. They mean it okay, but hey, a dancer in development, his skills and ability, those are two different things, by the way. They are developing too. If you lock it down as they think muscle memory is, then in the beginning you lock it down on a whole different level of ability and skills, which you then have to correct it. If they allow a constant development in the movement, then that's definitely it. I know that as a fighter where we practice some punches and kicks a lot of times. Bruce Lee said it right. Better fear a fighter who practiced one kick 1,000 times than a fighter who practiced 1,000 kicks one time. And some people immediately translate that as muscle memory. It's not a muscle memory. It's actually the perfection to get to a higher level of that kick. So the first time when this guy did it completely different than the number thousandth time. So that's about muscle memory.
Yes,
But
I.
yeah, I do agree that that's a little bit more on maybe a little bit more an artist way of thinking. I think that's where artists can also influence other things because it makes the movement in the end. It develops the movement to a different direction. You and I are not immediately thinking, oh, then the movement is better because um, that would be a subjective way of looking at it. And sometimes it's more efficient if that's your goal, right? You know, you want to break a stone, you want to improve your technique when you hit a stone. I always think, you know, the stone never hits you back, so why would you try to break a stone? But I can do it if you want to. So yeah, the first time that you do that, it's painful, and the more you do it, you get more technique and stuff like that. But you and I are typically not interested in per se making it better. Yeah.
No, no, better not exist. Improving, maybe. What I would improve, I will tell you now because I write something down here,
Mm.
Sean. Your body actually is that instrument. So when you do sporting,
Mm-hmm.
you sport and you do your power training, you do your flexibility training, your stamina training, your balance training, your isolations, and you want to improve the functionality of the body, what it can do in space and time with the body parts. And how more you improve that, how more you can decorate the space and time
Yeah, you have to explain
with
the
your
word.
body parts.
You have to explain the word decorate.
Yeah, decorate, I would say, as a painter or as an architect, I in the architect world, I would decorate the room. And if I have more possibilities with my bodies and with my instrument, I'm more able to do something different what other people not could do with their body parts. And as a painter, how more I get feeling for the colors and the combination of colors and the symmetry and the asymmetry because it's a very uh, different world, painting world, but actually not with the dance floor as an artist, because as an artist on that floor, that instrument, you paint also in the air, and the paint will disappear slowly. And if you are more able to do in the flexibility that you can put your leg higher, or that you can turn longer, or that you can isolate and make different forms or different body parts in combinations to use. One is turning and the other one is making straight lines and have a different dynamic in ticking, tick, 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 and the other turning it would be flowing. So the combinations of isolations, if you have practiced this more and you are more able to put art on that floor, even as a competitive dancer.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. But you know, if so, a sportsman is, you know, if you would do it black and white, is less interested with that, right? Let's take a boxer, a more artistic boxer, fighter, right? So that's my past world. If I found when one method and I could put down my opponent every time with it, if there's a one punch and I could and it works every time, I improve that thing, that would be then he would be, you know, really good, right?
Yes.
And we would say it, but an artist per se would say, hey, are there maybe other ways how I can put
Yes.
the guy down? And then his trainer would say, yeah, why would you change it? This is already make this one more perfect, and you would be more efficient in I think that would be a sportive way to do. So
Hmm.
you and I typically think like, okay, maybe we can change it. So sometimes we do change the things for the sake of change.
Hmm.
That's a little bit of an artistic way of looking at things, because we are not immediately thinking, oh, is that then better? Because that's not
Hmm.
on our mind.
No, no,
Uh,
no, no,
yeah,
absolutely not.
yeah,
It's to recognize the patterns because
Yes,
when I
it's
look to a competition of
yeah,
dancing,
yeah,
even in the hip hop or
yeah,
doesn't matter which kind of dance form,
yeah.
then I look what pattern he put on the floor.
Okay, we change
And
it.
as an artist, I
Yeah,
would look how I could break that pattern
that's better again. And then, and
again.
even though he was very successful with the previous pattern, successful is a very loose term. We would still look for it. Another good example is you have to look it up as an interview with,
Sean,
uh,
Sean,
yeah,
Sean, not could you repeat that what you said? Even on the floor, they tried to repeat that
yes.
on the
Even
floor.
if you were
So,
successful with it, you and I would still look for breaking the pattern again. But
yes.
that's always hard for people to do because they say, hey, I'm so successful with what I'm doing right now. And that is, of course, used in sports a lot. Never change a winning team, never change a
Hmm,
winning
hmm.
pattern, never change a winning movement, you know, and that's not on our mind.
Yes,
Does that make sense?
we try. Yes, we try not to repeat ourselves.
And that is really, that's a really different mindset, right? That's a really different mindset. But a good example, I think, and this is an interview, you have to look it up. He at some point in time was not that popular, but it's Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods is, probably one of the best golfers in the world. He's also seen as a very technical and very skillful. And then once in a while he goes to something that's actually close by here, is to a Harry Hines Institute to improve his golf swing. Now, you would think that someone at that level who wins all tournaments that you could win in his heydays would not go. And he would always be a little bit worse when he start that process, worse in results, when he start that process of changing a golf swing. So he always get questions, why would you do that if you already do that? Well, he noticed that this game became now something in, can I improve something even if I sportively on the top of the world? So there is an artist mind in that. There is an artist mind in that. He's not satisfied with the result per se, right? He's about changing and improving, and that's already a scary term, right? Improving. But so yeah, there are sports people with an artist mind, and a lot of artists in dance have a very sportive mind as well. There's a little distinction. We're running out of time, Ton. This is
Oh,
yeah, I would say there was one thing that I think we have put on the agenda to discuss a little bit more. It's a topic that is, you hear it at least a lot in the ballroom dance world. Is it form before function, or is it function before form? It's very related to this topic of the story of sports and art, the story of two passions. And I think both Ton and I, we love both. We actually, in our mind, we don't even make a distinction anymore between the two, but we can discuss it as a distinction. So that's where I would say to the people, I hope you like the discussion. Try to, define it for yourself. Just do believe if you put it in one corner, that's fine for us too. It's just a little bit the way how Ton and I think about specifically towards dance in general. So anyhow, there was a nice discussion, Ton. At least I hope
yeah,
our listeners think it's a nice discussion too.
yeah. We don't know that, and
We don't know that.
for me, still dancing is a sport and an art and
Same.
an entertainment.
Yeah,
Yes,
and yes, and above all that, guys, it's really good for your mind and body.
yes,
Yes, so
absolutely. Bring
yeah,
body
so
and mind together. It
well,
doesn't
you
matter.
can.
Doesn't matter how you approach it.
Yeah, that's another discussion because I would oppose to that sentence, bring body and mind together, because that would indicate that they can be separated.
Oh,
Anyhow, that's another thing that we can talk about. Body and mind. Are those two different things, or are they the same thing? We can put that on the paper for a next podcast. Um, what about that, Tom?
yes, I have it on the paper on our list,
Good.
which which one we wanted to do, and
Which,
yes,
yeah.
if somebody wants to book us for a lecture, or
Hmm.
for some interview or whatever, get in
Yeah.
contact, get in touch with us.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. You can definitely. I think that's known. We'll put some information in the show notes. Also, if you want to know more about Dance Jams as the podcast, then you find this after the show as well. So I enjoyed this. I enjoyed this very much, Tom, and I'll hope to see you back very soon with another episode of Dance Jams. Right?
Yes, thank you very much, Sean. And for the listeners who have get to the end, thank you very much for listening.
All right. We'll see each other soon.
Bye bye.
Bye
Keep on
bye.
dancing.
Keep on dancing. Yeah, you can find Dance Jams on Spotify at Dance Jams. You can also find us on YouTube, where you find both the Dutch and the English version on Spotify, of course, too. The Dutch version is on the Dance Jams NL. And then we have our own website called Jam Dance Podcasts. And this was another episode of Dance Jams. Bye bye.
Bye bye.